When it comes to hard work, I am convinced we all have another level within us, a degree of output most will fail to recognize and therefore fail to leverage. When I think of this, I'm reminded of the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still, which was originally made in 1951, something I had to look up, and then was recreated in 2008, starring Keanu Reeves, Jennifer Connelly, Kathy Bates, and John Cleese. The version most of us are probably familiar with. Those that haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I do recommend checking it out. But the general synopsis is an alien spacecraft lands in Washington, D.C., and the alien on board is played by Keanu Reeves. And essentially, he's there to save the world through the elimination of mankind. And at some point in the movie, he links up with this Nobel laureate professor, played by John Cleese. They have a conversation, and the professor's trying to convince Keanu Reeves to save mankind. And he's like, hey man, surely you guys have some technology that you can use to help us solve this problem. And Keanu Reeves responds with a quote that I wrote down because I thought it was pretty awesome. He says, your problem is not technology. The problem is you. You lack the will to change. I cannot change your nature. You treat the world as you treat each other. Which, parallels a lot of different facets of life. So the professor states that historically every civilization reaches a crisis point eventually. And Keanu Reeves is like, yeah, Oz did too. And professor's like, okay, cool. What did you do to get past it? How did you do it? And Keanu Reeves is like, our son was dying. We had to evolve in order to survive. And here, the professor points out this. So it was only when your world was threatened with destruction that you became what you are now. And Alien's like, yeah. And the professor's like, okay, well, we're dealing with a very similar situation down here right now. And then he says, so you say we're on the brink of destruction, and you're right. But it's only at the brink that people find the will to change. Only at the precipice do we evolve. Just an awesome exchange, which in the movie is probably, 5 or 7 minutes. And then the movie goes on, and I won't spoil what happens. Bringing this back to hard work. Looking at myself. I was not always a hard worker. I was like a lot of kids out there, actually. Confused, scared, lazy. Eventually, though, I did find a work ethic, and eventually I became a hard worker. And I have many accomplishments that I'm proud of, which is indicative of that work ethic. Let's see, I played football at the collegiate level. I grinded out my bachelor's degree. I was selected at SFAS, Distinguished Honor Graduate of the Q course, just to name some. The point is, all these things required hard work. But the reality is, the entire time, I had a whole nother level of output. It was there. I just did not know it existed. For many, including myself, it takes some sort of significant event to unlock this level. For me, it was getting my legs shot off by a machine gun. But again, the thing is, it was there the entire time. That level of output, that level of work was there the entire time. I was taken to the brink of my destruction. First, simply in terms of living, and then in terms of my self-identification. I was a warrior. I was born to be a warrior. That's who I was. And I was on the precipice of losing it. I was on the precipice of losing myself. I am convinced that those who reach their dream gain access to this level of work ethic. Whether a result of some life-altering event or not, they find it. And to be clear, this is not strictly physical effort. It's the discipline. It's the focus. It's the sacrifice, the pain tolerance, the relationship with failure, the relationship with fear. It's maximizing our efficiency. It's taking ownership of our situation, and it's doing whatever it takes to make it. Once someone unlocks access to this level, they retain access indefinitely. It's there. We know it's there. We found it. We harnessed it. We used it. We saw the effects of it. And as long as we have the passion for what it is we're trying to do, we can continuously leverage it. The key, however, is gaining the access. The professor argues it is only at the brink of destruction that people find the will to change. This was the case for me. Don't let that be you. It's there. It's there right now. Unlock that existing potential. Take it to a higher level. And enjoy the ride.